I only read one book, but it's a good book, don't you know? I act the way I act because the good book tells me so. If I want to know how to be good, it's to the good book that I go. Because the good book is a book, and it is good, and it's a book.
Now, these are the generations of Esau, who is Edom, which was an annotation that was scribbled on at the end of this verse by the Lord, so that as he may keep track of who is who in a family tree that did more closely resemble a bramble patch in what is yet to be yet another biblical list of confusing and hard to pronounce names that would be used in the future by people bereft of talent with far too much time on their hands to prove a point and justify why they should hold us a particular title or position and not someone a lot more capable. And far in the future, many centuries from now, a man who would one day come to narrate this chapter in an interesting and humorous way would have his bloody work cut out, and would sigh and curseth before he did begin. Oh, fuck. Holding to the tradition laid down from the beginning by the Lord, that marriage would eternally be only between one man and one woman, Esau took his wives of the daughters of Canaan. Ada, the daughter of Elon the Hittite, and his other wife, Alabama, the daughter of Anna, the daughter of Zibuin the Hivite, who we will hear a lot more about later. And, just to remove any doubt, a third wife, Bathmat, Ishmael's daughter, sister of Nebajoth, who we had previously been led to believe in this entirely accurate and non-contradictory narrative, just 10 chapters earlier, was the daughter of Elon the Hittite, rather than Ada, although it is entirely possible that the two were indeed the same person. And Esau's family were greatly angered, for they did want him to take wives with whom he did share a last name with, and possibly a grandparent. And Ada bare to Esau Eliphaz, who did have an amazing talent that did frighten the girls, which did involve turning his trouser pockets inside out so they did look like ears, undoing his flies and grabbing an apple from the table and inserting it somewhere unmentionable without using his hands. And Bathmat bare Ruel, who would one day come to share a name with a man named Tolkien. And Alabama bare Douche, who would one day invent and name after himself a fruit drink in a squeezy bottle with a long neck that wouldn't sell very well for some reason. And Jalam, who would star in porn films, and Korah, who was renowned for wearing a badly matching wig to conceal his baldness. These are the sons of Esau, which were born unto him in the land of Canaan. And Esau took his wives and his sons and his daughters, who at least get a mention, and all the persons of his house, and his cattle, and all his beasts, and all his substance, which he had got in the land of Canaan, and went into the country from the face of his brother Jacob. For in this version of the story it was Esau who leaves, and not his brother. For their riches were more than that they might dwell together, and the land wherein they were strangers could not bear them because of their cattle, which they had in great abundance, and they did spend all day turning perfectly good grass into what would one day become to be known as creation science. Thus dwelt Esau in Mount Seir, which is where one day he would establish Edom. Because Esau is Edom, which we already knew about because it was mentioned before. And these are the generations of Esau, the father of the Edomites in Mount Seir. And lo, copy and paste was invented. These are the names of Esau's sons. Eliphaz, the son of Ada, the wife of Esau. Reuel, the son of Bathmat, the wife of Esau, who is mentioned again here by the original writer in order to pad out the narrative, and just in case you might have forgotten from just 2 minutes ago. And the sons of Eliphaz were Teman, who did battle mightily for less government regulation of big business, more expensive healthcare, and a return to a time when people wore ankle breeches and tricorn hats, and when black people picked cotton and had an import certificate rather than a birth certificate. Omar, who did constantly have an urge to blow things up. Zeppo, who did try in vain to get his other brothers to change their names to Chico, Harpo, and Groucho. And Gatam, who did enjoy juggling badgers, and of course Kenaz, who we would like to say was the embodiment of a lit torch that did bring great wisdom and enlightenment, like the pagan rune, which he did share a name, but he didn't. And Timnah was concubine to Eliphaz, Esau's son, who stuck by the one-man, one-woman marriage thing and simply had a mistress that he did see on the side. And she bare to Eliphaz Amalek, who would go on to found a tribe of people who were around at the time of his great-grandfather, and would invent a language called Arabic, and who were such complete bastards that the Lord was okay about committing genocide against them. These were the sons, or more accurately, the son and grandson of Ada, Esau's wife. And these are the sons of Ruel, Nahath and Zerah, Shema and Mizah, who did in their youth form what would one day become to known as a boy band, and touring the area did earn moderate fame with songs such as Humping My Camel, Got a Goat All Night, and the song that did make them famous, Smack My Bitch Up. These were the sons of Bathmat, Esau's wife, and considering that it is not stated who Ruel did marry, if understood literally, Ruel did know his own mother very well. And these are the sons of Alabama, Esau's wife, the daughter of Anna, who did wear size 10 shoes, did have unusually large hands for a woman, and possessed a square jaw and Adam's apple, and was the daughter of Zeboim. And she bare to Esau Jush and Jalam and Korah, which we already know. And if repeating the part of the narrative about the wives and sons of Esau wasn't annoying enough, the original writers decided that the reader probably wanted to know more about the sons. Therefore, these were dukes of the sons of Esau, the sons of Eliphaz, the firstborn son of Esau, Duke Teman, Duke Omar, Duke Zepho, Duke Kenaz, and it was little known that all of them were talented kazoo players, aside from Zepho, who did play the triangle, which did go down like a steel-lead balloon. Likewise, Duke Korah, Duke Gatam, and Duke Amalek. These are the dukes that came of Eliphaz in the land of Edom. These were the sons of Ada, who was the mother of Eliphaz, which, if taken literally, does contradict with the verse 4 earlier, that does say that Amalek was the son of Teman, and does suggest that the sons of Ada were very talented banjo players, with webbed fingers and tails. And these are the sons of Ruel, Esau's son, Duke Nahath, Duke Zerah, Duke Sama, and Duke Mizah, and together with Duke Luke, Duke Bo, Duke Daisy, and their uncle Jesse, they were known as the Dukes of Hazard, and they did roam the land in a bright red covered ox cart with the rainbow-striped flag of Sodom painted on the roof. These are the dukes that came of Ruel in the land of Edom. These are the sons of the son of Basmat, Esau's wife. And these are the sons of Alabama, Esau's wife, Duke Jush, Duke Jalam, and Duke Korah, and they were indeed good friends with Duke Nukem. And these were the dukes that came of Alabama, the daughter of Anna, Esau's wife. These are the sons of Esau, who is Edom, and these are their dukes. But none of them would be as worthy of the title of the Duke than a man who would come later and slay a great many red, yellow, and brown people while tending his cattle, and he did have true grit. These are the sons of Seir, the Horite, who was perpetually okay, and who inhabited the land. Lotan, who liked Marmite, and Shobal, who didn't, and Zebulun, who attempted to be the first man alive to plait cats, and Anna, who probably should not be confused with his brother's daughter, even though they both did possess substantial beards, and Dishon, whose last name was Ist, although nobody would ever believe him, and Ezer, whose last name was Good, and would have a song written about him in many years to come that would be mistaken for being about a thing called amphetamine, and Dishan, whose last name was Dat, who was never particularly specific. These are the dukes of the Horites, the children of Seir, in the land of Edom. And the children of Lotan were horrid, which was unfortunate, and Heman, who had a basing haircut, did live in a place called Castle Grayskull, and did shout, "I have the power," whenever he did get changed. And Lotan's sister was Timna, who would in later years drop the letter M from her name and run off with a man known as Dave to a place called Romford in a land called Essex, who would have a thing called a Ford Cantina and live in a castle covered in a substance that would be called stone cladding. And while Dave did toil in the fields, she would have a thing on the side with a man called Eliphaz, and be his concubine, but that's another story. And the children of Shobal were these: Alvan, whose name was easy to pronounce, and Manhathath, whose wasn't, and Ebal, who would have been a talented skydiver, that the outside privy had a much higher roof, Sherpo, who did shout at sheep, and Onam, who did have a great many possessions. And these are the children of Zebulun, both Ajam and Anna, that being Anna, who was the mother of Esau's wife, Alabama. That was that Anna that found the mules in the wilderness as he fed the asses of Zebulun his father, and lo, he was indeed gender confused. And the children of Anna were these: Dishon, who was probably his own grandfather's brother, and Alabama, the daughter of Anna, who, according to this narrative, was both her father and mother, which doth mean that someone, somewhere, was wrong. And these are the children of Dishon: Emda and Eshban, and Ithran and Cheran, and all of them were miserable, for though together they did invent a thing called a DVD player, nobody had yet invented the thing that would be called a DVD to play in it, or a television set to watch it on. The children of Ezer were these: Bilhan and Zavan and Akan, who would have discovered Australia had they gone looking for it, and not thought that the world was flat and floated in an endless ocean under a glass bubble covered in stars. The children of Dishan are these: Uz, who did invent clogs, and Iran, who did run a secret nuclear weapons program in his bedroom. These are the dukes that came of the Horites: Duke Lotan, Duke Shobal, Duke Zebulun, Duke Anna, who was possibly a duchess, Duke Dishon, Duke Ezer, and Duke Dishan. And one day a man who would one day attempt to read this narrative in an interesting and humorous way will go out from his dwelling and find a nearby pond into which he will plunge his head so that he can scream at the fish, forever considering it could be a good idea to grow legs, and over a great many more years than the universe has existed, eventually evolve into creatures who could have the intelligence to write this narrative, but not surely know that the act of reading it would give the reader a powerful desire to take up a sharp blade and inspect their own entrails. These are the dukes that came of Hori, among their dukes in the land of Ser. We hath found the previous 30 verses so incredibly riveting, we shall turn to the bonus material provided for our enjoyment. These are the kings that reigned in the land of Edom, before there reigned any kings over the children of Israel. And Bela, the son of Bor, who does not appear to be related in any way to any of the people previously mentioned, reigned in Edom. And the name of his city was Dinhaba, and by this point in the narrative nobody really cared. And Bela died, and they did throw a party, and Jobab, the son of Zerah of Bozrah, reigned in his stead, and the reader did despair at the prospect of another 10 verses. And Jobab died, probably of boredom after reading this narrative, and Husham of the land of Temani reigned in his stead, which was nice. And Husham died while trying to catch an elephant that was, with great difficulty and ingenious know-how, catapulted over his castle wall by an angry neighbour. And Hadad the son of Bebat, who smote Midian in the field of Moab after he did catch him pilfering cabbages, which was a bit harsh, reigned in his stead, and the name of his city was Avith. And Hadad died in a most gruesome and painful way, during an unfortunate incident when he mistook a sausage-making machine for a device that would increase the size of his manhood, and Shamlar of Mashreka reigned in his stead. And Shamla died while reassuring his tribesmen that the bows used by the people of the town of Rebok by the river could not possibly fire arrows that could reach them, and Saul of Rebok by the river reigned in his stead, having proved him wrong. And Saul died in agony, after an unfortunate incident, whereupon he did accidentally slip while naked in the bath, and did fall backwards upon 3 gerbils and a large grapefruit that did wedge themselves firmly up his back passage, and resist all attempts at removal. And Baal-Hanan, the son of Akbar, reigned in his stead. And Baal-Hanan, the son of Akbar, died after being shot in the head with one of 3 arrows fired by a lone archer from the 6th floor southeast corner window of the Eden School book depository, as he did pass through downtown Dinhaba in an open-top ox cart, though many would insist that they did see the fateful arrow shot by a second archer hidden amongst the palm trees atop of the sandy knoll. And Hadar reigned in his stead, and the name of his city was Poor, and his wife's name was Mehetabel, and the daughter of Matred, the daughter of Mezahab. And these are the names of the dukes that came of Esau, according to their families, after their places, by their names: Duke Timnah, Duke Alva, Duke Jehoshaphat. Duke Alabama, who earlier on in this narrative was Esau's wife; Duke Ella, who was so manly that he did have 3 testicles; Duke Pinon, who was famed for his wooden teeth, rubber nose, and his waist-length orange wig that was knitted from wool by his auntie Mildred; Duke Kenaz, who was at least mentioned earlier; Duke Timon, who did wear a great many gold chains and would us not have liked flying had it been invented; Duke Mibzar, who did command a vast fleet of warships against the people of Mars, forever wiping them from the universe; Duke Magdiel, who did try in vain all his life to make jam from sand; and Duke Iram, who did nothing interesting at all, ever. These be the dukes of Edom, according to their habitations in the land of their possession. He is Esau, the father of the Edomites. And the Lord in heaven, who did look down upon this narrative, did greatly regret his plan to continue the story with a biblical list, for it did fill him with such boredom that he did want to eat his own feet, and he did look down upon the scribe, who did look set to continue his work by listing where the dukes of old did go on their holidays, and did greatly regret that he had not yet got around to creating the pit of fire that he would one day call hell, and banish all of humanity to for the simplest of infractions, but mainly for just being born. And he did send down upon him a pack of ravenous sharks, whose progress was somewhat hampered by the fact that they did suddenly find themselves completely out of water in the middle of the desert, and lo, they did thrash about on the sand and die. And upon seeing this, the Lord did call down from heaven a small mountain range upon the scribe, which did appear to be effective, if not a little excessive. And he did look upon the earth, and did see the one with whom he would focused with next, and lo, a storyline that would inspire a musical stage show, and revive the stalled career of many a failed actor, did begin to unfold.